Shalom, shalom, Israel's brothers, Ariella.
For the Kazawan.
Coming back to you with another cold cut. I'd like to give our praises to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahawashi. Right, this topic of this cold cut is going to be going into, remembering the poor of our people, man. Remember the poor of the land. You got Pentecost coming up, man. And it's a commandment that we don't glean out all of our harvest to leave some to the poor and to the stranger and to the foreigner, man. We have to remember the poor of our people. We get caught up in our daily lives. We caught up in our daily problems, but sometimes we forget that there are some people going through certain things worse than us in the earth, man. There are certain people that don't have a dwelling place, a certain dwelling place to live at, man. That walk the streets and they look like you and me. But we don't give to those people all the time as we should. We got to give to our brothers, and we got to look out for our brothers and sisters. Let me bring that out in Deuteronomy. It's Deuteronomy chapter 15, verse 7. If there be among you a poor man of one of thy brethren with any of thy gates in the land, which the Lord thy God giveth thee, thou shalt not harden thy heart, nor shut thy hand from thy poor brother. So the Lord commanded us not to harden our hearts, nor shut our hand from our poor brother, man. We're commanded to look out for our people. The other nations look out for their people. The other nations love their people, man. Right? They uplift each other. They give each other jobs, man. But we're the only people that look down upon the poor of our people. The Lord said it can't be like that. Reading on. Verse 8, but thou shalt open thy hand wide unto him, and shalt surely lend him sufficient for his need in that which he wanted. The Lord said you got to open your hand wide unto him, and surely lend him the thing that he needs, man. Right? And it says, but where that thou be not, so let me jump down to verse 10. All right, so let me read on. Verse 9, beware that there be not a thought in thy wicked mind, saying, the seventh year, this year of release is at hand, and that I be evil against thy poor brother, and thou givest him naught, and he cry unto the Lord against thee, and it be sin unto thee. A poor man crying against you for not helping them out is sin. That's what the Lord said. If you see a poor man, and he see you, and he see the fringes, and guess what, you don't help him, he will cry unto the Lord, and the Lord will put you to death. Yeah, you don't eat pork. Yeah, you wear the fringes. Yeah, you stop getting tattoos. Yeah, you don't smoke anymore, but you don't help your brother. Therefore, you're going to have to die with Esau, man. Right. That's what the Lord said. You can't shut your hand, and you have to give him something. You got to.
You can put Proverbs 21 and 13.
Proverbs chapter 21 and verse 13. And it says, whoso stoppeth his ears at the cry of the poor, he also shall cry himself, but shall not be heard.
Right, like the brother was saying, right? You don't want to stop your ear, right? When you see your brother out there, he just laid out, right? He look like he just needs something. Right. He look like he needs something. Now, don't be just going out and being a fool and giving him $20 in cash and he going spending on crack, right? I mean, you gotta look out for your people. It might be a store down the street. Go buy him some food, right? Don't just look at him and then just look at him like he heathen, like he nothing, right? Because that's how the heathen look at us. They look at our people like that. They walk around, right? They give our people that's homeless and poor with no place to stay, with no food, with no job. They give them fines just for sleeping on benches. I mean, they're already catching enough hell. So I mean, why don't you shed your light, and kind of give them something, kind of look out for your people. Right, because the Lord, if you crying out and you ain't giving back to your people that's crying out, the Lord ain't gonna hear your cries at the end of the day. You got it.
Right. And guess what? The Lord said in Proverbs chapter 19. It's Proverbs chapter 19 and verse 19. He that hath pity upon the poor lendeth unto the Lord. So if you have pity upon the poor, you lend unto Yahweh by Shem Yahshua. If you buying your neighbor food, guess what? You fed the Lord. You buy your neighbor clothes, guess what? You clothed the Lord. Guess what? You breaking down the scriptures to a poor man, and guess what? You're doing that for the Lord, man. That's what the Lord said. If you lend unto the poor, you lend unto him. Right? It says, he that hath pity upon the poor, lendeth unto the Lord. And that which he hath given, will he repay him again. So you're going to be able to see that thing again, man. You give it to the poor, the Lord, so you may surely require, he will turn that thing back around. They call it karma in the world. But the Lord calls it a recompense. The Lord calls it righteousness. The Lord says he's going to give it back to you in that day, man, whenever you need it the most, because you looked out for your brother. I'm going to Matthew chapter 25 and 35. It's Matthew chapter 25 and 35. For I was an hungered, and you gave me meat. I was thirsty, and you gave me drink. I was a stranger, and you took me in. Naked, and you clothed me. I was sick and you visited me. I was in prison and you came unto me. Then shall the righteous answer him, saying, Lord, when saw we an hungered and fed thee, or thirsty and gave thee drink? Right? So that's what the righteous are going to say. They said, Lord, when did we do these things? When did I clothe you? When did I let you in my house and lodge you? Right? Verse 38. When saw we a stranger and took thee in, or naked and clothed thee? Or when saw we thee sick in prison and came unto thee? And the king shall answer and say unto them, verily I say unto you, inasmuch as you have done it unto one of the least of my brethren, you have done it to me. So if we do it to the least of our brethren, we got to look at our brothers like we look at Yahawashi, man. That's all we got to look at our brothers out here. We got to have that much respect for our brothers, man. We look at our brothers and we see the Lord, man. Right? We lend to our brothers. We clothe our brothers. We help our brothers out. We did that to the Lord. The Lord will remember that thing, man. And that's what we want. We want our sins to be knocked off and for the Lord to remember our good works. Go to Hebrews 6 and 10. Book of Hebrews chapter 6 and verse 10. For Yahweh is not unrighteous to forget your work and labor of love. That's laboring of love, man. You're doing work out of love. Yeah, we know the Lord said he's going to repay us back, but we're not really doing it for that. You just want to see your brother happy. You just want to see your brother get by a little bit more in his lifetime, in his captivity. Like the brother said, they're already catching enough hell. And it says, labor of love, which you have showed towards his name, and that you have ministered to the saints and do minister, man. Right? Minister meaning serving the saints, serving our people. And guess what? That's what we're called to do in these last days, is to rebuild our nation and to help the poor of our people. You got it.
This is the book of 1 Timothy, chapter 1 and verse number 5. It says, now the end of the commandment is charity, out of a pure heart, and of a good conscience, and of faith unfeigned. Right? You don't want to be doing charity just be all sluggish with it, be like, guess it's time to go do some charity for the Lord.
Right.
I guess it's time to go give back to my people. You want to do it out of a pure heart. Right? It should make you happy and put a smile on your face when you looking out for your people, and then you can break down the scriptures afterwards. Right? You don't want to be doing this for vanity. Right? You don't want to be doing this for vanity. Right? It should be a pure heart. You should be happy doing this. This is a commandment. The Lord told you he wants you to do this. Right? Let's go to the book of 1 Peter chapter 4 verse 8. Right? This is essentially a commandment. Right? What does that say? 1 Peter chapter 4 and verse number 8. It says, and above all things have fervent charity among yourselves, for charity covers the multitude of sins. Right? And if you're not doing it out of a pure heart, why would it cover a multitude of your sins? If you just doing it saying, all right, this the reason I'm doing it for. You're not doing it because you care about your people. You're just doing it because you just freaked off the other day. Right? That's not how charity works. Right? You want to do this out of a pure heart, right, and a contrite spirit, man. Right? And let's go to the book of Matthew, chapter 6. It's the book of Matthew, chapter 6, and I'm going to start at verse number 3. It says, but when thou doest alms, let not thy left hand know what thy right hand doeth, that thy alms may be in secret, and thy Father which seeth in secret, he shall reward thee openly. Right? You don't want to be a damn Instagram influencer.
Right.
Right? They damn recording, giving back to our people, right? Just for 1 million likes and some money. Right? You don't want to go on Instagram, post it on your story, be like, yeah, I just did some charity and gave back to the homeless for 5 hours.
Right, Facebook Live.
Yeah, just going off. That's not a pure heart as well. Right? The Lord not going to reward you. He's not going to cover the multitude of your sins if you're doing that. Right? He said do it in secret, and then he'll reward thee openly. Right? He'll give you the increase if you actually going hard and you doing the right thing. Right, for the Lord, and you doing it out of a pure spirit. Right, but you got it.
Right, that's right, man. You got to do it out of a pure heart. And that's a commandment, man. It's a commandment to feed our people and help the poor. And it doesn't always have to be physical, but the Lord, you said you can do it spiritually too. Let me read this in Tobit 4:16. Give of thy bread to the hungry, and of thy garments to them that are naked. So the Lord said, give of your bread to the hungry and your garments to the naked. I mean, ain't this the food right here? Right? Yeah, physically want to help your people. Eat, let them eat. May have to buy them things certain times, but the Lord said, this is your food. That's what Job said in Job 23 and 12. Right? He's not going back from his necessary food. This is the food right here, man. It's the bread of life, the Lord, the words of Yahawashi. Right? And the Lord said what? Give of thy bread to the hungry. You breaking down the word to the hungry. And of thy garments to them that are naked. And guess what? Our people are spiritually poor, man. right? The Lord called us rich, but sometimes, hey, our people, hey, they don't have the words of life, man. They don't got the words of life. They out here just dead. Don't know what's going on. We have to, guess what, clothe the naked, man. Didn't the Lord tell Joshua change his garments, man? Right? Didn't Jacob tell his household to change their garments? Meaning what, man? They got to be clothed in righteousness. We gotta be out there clothing the poor, man. Right. We giving them the doctrine of life. We take away the Babylonish garment and we give them the all-white garment through these words of Yahawashi, man. Right? Breaking down these scriptures. That's also giving charity. You doing videos. You may counsel a brother. Right? You may break down the precepts to a brother. He may have a question. That's what you're doing. Right? The Lord said what? Give of thy bread to the hungry, and of thy garments to them that are naked. And according to thy abundance give alms, and let not thine eye be envious when thou givest alms. So as the brother was saying, you don't want your eye to be envious, man. You thinking about it all the time. The next day, you asking him for that money back. You said, brother, it's been 23 hours, man. You know, I think it's sufficient. I want you to pay me back. You know, I helped you out. Can you help me out? You know, I've been there for you. Brother, it's only been 23 hours, right? Give him the, let him get the money back, man. Talk about, you know, I think you had enough time to work. You was only asleep for 8 hours. You didn't have to go to sleep. That's off. That's wicked, man. The Lord said, according to your abundance, give alms. If you have a lot, man, give a lot. If you don't have a lot, man, then give according to the little that thou hast, man. Let me get one more precept. It's Sirach, chapter 29. It's Sirach 29 and verse 8. Yet have thou patience with a man in poor estate, and delay not to show him mercy. You can't delay to show that poor man mercy. You got to make haste to help that man, man. Because what if that was you? You wouldn't want nobody trodden their feet to come and help you like it was a burden, man. You want somebody to quickly get you out your situation, how we call upon the Lord. Right? So, verse 9, help the poor for the commandment's sake. And we brought out the commandment, Deuteronomy chapter 15, verse 7 down to verse 9. And turn him not away because of his poverty. Right? Verse 10, lose thy money for thy brother and thy friend, and let it not rest under a stone to be lost. So we're commanded to lose our money for our brother and for our friends, man. And that doesn't mean to be, you know, to be an idiot or not discern the matter. You know, if your brother want to go grab some narcotics or some drugs, you don't give it to him, man. The Lord says, Sirach 12 and 10, don't give to the sinner, only give to the godly. But if your brother really need it, he needs to pay his rent, and you got a little few extra cash, then guess what? We got to give to our brothers, man. For the commandment's sake, and let it not rest under the rock. You got it.
Right, and I want to touch on the part where brother was saying this is the bread, right? Because you don't know, you never know who the elect is either, right? A homeless man right there on the street, that could literally be one of the, that could be one of, he could be part of the 144, right? And then you go and get him some food, then you break down the words of the Lord to him, and then you wake him up into this truth, and he going hard, and he probably the elect, right? This is the book of John, chapter 6. In verse number 51, it says, I am the living bread which came down from heaven. If any man eat of this bread, he shall live forever. And the bread that I will give is my flesh, which I will give for the life of the world. Right? So this is spiritual food right here. Right? So you're going to give him some real food when you're doing charity. And then afterwards, you're going to break down to him an Israelite. You're going to break down what Yahawashi look like. Give him the faith. Right? And then you're going to hopefully, Lord willing, bring the brother into the truth, or sister, right? This is also charity, right? It's spiritual charity, right? And that's what you want to lay up in these last days, right? This is the book of Matthew, chapter 6, in verse number 19. It says, lay not up for yourselves treasures upon earth, where moth and rust doeth corrupt, and where thieves break through and steal. Because you got people in this truth, they don't do charity at all. They're like, hey, I gotta save this money instead, man. I don't want to go out and do this charity one time in the month. I mean, it's one time a month, most people, right? I mean, you should want to do it as much as possible, but if you can only do it one time a month, that's cool as well, right? But you got people, they be like, nah, I'm good, right? They don't think giving alms and charity is important when it is, right? Verse number 20, it says, but lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust doeth corrupt, and where thieves do not break through nor steal, right? And that's the whole goal, right? We want to lay up treasures for ourselves in the kingdom, right? We want to make our call and election sure, right? We're going to go back to this, like, we go to this because I mean it's plain, right? 2 Peter chapter 1 and verse number 7. It says, "Into godliness, brotherly kindness,
right.
Into brotherly kindness, charity." Right? And then we know verse 10 said, "Wherefore the rather, brethren, give diligence to make your calling and election sure. For if you do these things, you shall never fall." Right? Hey, I mean, he said charity. Right? That's when we go to this precept a lot, because the Lord put it in Paul's spirit to show us that that's how you make your calling and election sure in the last days. Right? It's by giving charity. Right? But people don't give charity, and then they wonder why they waxing worse or not increasing, or they catching all hell. Right? It's a reason why people catch hell. Right? Because they're not giving alms. Right? Let's go to the book of Sirach. They're not giving charity to their people.
Selfish.
Yeah. Sirach chapter 29 and verse number 12. Right? I'm going to start at verse number 12. Come on. Right? It says, "Shut up alms in thy storehouses, and it shall deliver thee from all affliction." Right? You got to give alms. You got to do charity. Right? It's gonna save you from the affliction. Right? You might be catching so much hell, right, going through it money-wise, financially, because you're not giving alms. So the Lord said, "Hey, I'm gonna take that from you until you start realizing and examining yourself to go and give the alms." Right? Now I got one more scripture. Hold on. Right? It's the book of Tobit, chapter 12 and verse number 8.
Nope.
It says, "Prayer is good with fasting and alms and righteousness. A little with righteousness is better than much with unrighteousness. It's better to give alms than to lay up gold." Right? He said a little with righteousness is better than much with unrighteousness. Right? So that little burger that you might have bought one of your brothers for like $5, I mean, that's better than all the wickedness you was doing the whole month. Right? So you want to go and do that. Right? Because it says it's better to give alms than to lay up to lay your money up. Right? Because the Lord is gonna reward you for that, like he said. It says, "For alms doeth deliver from death, and shall purge away all sin. Those that exercise alms and righteousness shall be filled with light." Right? And that's the whole goal in the last days, is to be filled with light. Right? But you got it.
That's right. That's right, man. You don't want to be a stingy. You don't want to be a niggard. Right? The Lord calls a niggard in Sirach chapter 31. Right? This is Sirach. I'm going to read on from that. Sirach 29 and verse 12. I'm sorry, verse 11. "Lay up thy treasure according to the commandments of the Most High, and it shall bring thee more profit than gold. Shut it up in alms in thy storehouse." All right? "And it shall deliver thee from affliction." So you giving alms will deliver you from certain affliction, the Lord saying, man. You in a jammed up situation, life or death, the Lord remember you gave alms to that brother, and guess what? Now you saved from that affliction for what you did 3 months ago, man. Right? And it says, "It shall fight for thee against thine enemies, better than a mighty shield and a strong spear." You see that? Better than a mighty man and a strong spear. These alms will help you fight against your enemies, man. So we got to be able to help our people. Let me get another precept, man. Actually, let me jump up to verse 1. Sirach 29 and 1. "He that is merciful will lend unto his neighbor, and he that strengtheneth his hand keepeth the commandments. Lend to thy neighbor in the time of his need, and pay that thy neighbor again in due season. Keep thy word and deal faithfully with him, and thou shalt always find the thing that is necessary for thee." So, people should stress. They worry. "Oh, I don't know if I'm going to get this. I don't know if I'm going to get that. I asked the Lord, but he never gave me this, and I have a deadline, and I don't know what I'm going to do." Well, hold on. How many times have you ever gave to your neighbor? How many times have you ever helped out the poor in his poor state? Right? That's what's going to help you prepare you to get those things that the Lord promised, man. Right? But our people don't do those things, man. Our people don't care about each other, man. Right? But that's why we're here to change that narrative as the Israelites, to show an example to give back to our people, man. And to deal our bread to the hungry. Because if we do it to them, we do it unto Yahweh by Hashem Yahshua. Let me get another precept. It's Sirach chapter 21 and verse 24. "And don't you know the Lord is the God of the poor? He upholds the poor man out of his estate, and he hears the cry of the poor man." All right, this is Sirach chapter 21 and verse 4. So start verse 5. "A prayer out of a poor man's mouth reaches to the ears of Yahweh, and his judgment cometh speedily." The Lord said a poor man's prayer goes straight through, pierce the clouds, man. Hey, man, when you giving alms, sometimes it's profitable for these poor people to pray for you, man. Because, hey, guess what? The Most High is hearing that prayer. How much more when you're doing good to the poor and the Most High looks upon it, man? That's a mighty thing the Lord said, man. A poor man's prayer goes to the mouth, to the ears of the Most High. And this is around the time of Pentecost, man. We're commanded to help the poor of our people. Let me go to Leviticus 23. This is Leviticus chapter 23. We'll start at verse 22. And when you reap the harvest of your land, thou shalt not make clean riddance of the corners of the field when thou reapest, neither thou shalt gather any gleaning of thy harvest. Thou shalt leave them unto the poor and to the stranger. I am the Lord your God. So the Lord said, during the feast days, we can't glean all of our harvest. I mean, you can't just leave nothing out there. You have to leave some food for the poor. So even in our laws, even in our feast days, the Lord built something for the poor so they can eat. He commanded us to help the poor so they can eat. We have the 7th year of Jubilee, the exaction of every debt. So the poor man is just not poor forever, or the person in debt is not in debt forever, man. But it's for that man to get up to work out, to work off his debt, or to work in his poor state. We have laws set up to help our people, man. We have to get back to that in these last days by giving back and lending to our brother, man, in the time of his need. Got it, King.
They're good, like 2 more percent, right? Also, like, essentially what we doing, right? We being a father unto the fatherless, like looking up for our people, right? This is the book of Sirach, chapter 4 and verse 10, right? Because that's what they told us to do, right? It says, "Be as a father unto the fatherless." Right, that's what we doing, right? Nobody helping guide them, right? Let me go to the book of Deuteronomy. Nobody trying to help them get led back into righteousness, right? And you know, giving alms, that stuff helped them, right? That stuff help their spirit out, right, in the time of need. Because it's like looking out like a father, because your father not gonna sit there, right? A father that's keeping the commandments, right? He's, you know, serving Yahawashi. He's not gonna let his child starve, right? Now spiritually, we the fathers unto the people out here, right? Our brothers and sisters, right? This is Deuteronomy chapter 6, and I'm gonna start at verse number 7. Right? It says, "And thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and shalt talk of them when thou sittest in thine house, when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, when thou risest up." Right? I'm gonna drop down to verse number 10. Oh, that's what I wanted. Yeah, right? We got to teach our people, like, the commandments, right? We got to teach them the commandments and be a father unto them. That's all I had.
Right. That's right, man. Run you one more precept. It's 1 Corinthians chapter 13 and 13. "And now abideth faith, hope, charity." So you got faith, you got hope, and you got charity. These 3, but the greatest of these is charity. So the Lord said, out of faith and hope and charity is the greatest one. And we supposed to be saved by hope, man, right? Which is true. And guess what? Faith, and faith, you ain't getting saved if you don't even believe. But charity, the Lord said that's the biggest out of the 3. It's helping your brother, because remember, we not in this thing for ourselves. We in this for the nation of Israel, man. And just remember what Yahawashi did, man. That's ultimate charity. He didn't come on the earth for himself. He came on the earth to help his people, man. Right? You got anything else?
Yeah, this is my last precept, actually. Right, this is Matthew chapter 5 and verse number 8. It says, "Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see Yahweh." Right? You want to make sure that you're pure in heart, like we were saying earlier, and when you're doing all these works. Don't do it for vain glory or vain reasons. Make sure that you're pure in heart, because that's how that's how they're set up. Right? They're gonna be pure in heart in these last days.
All praise to Yahawashi, man. Lord willing, man. You know, brothers and sisters, you exercise charity this day, this week, for moving forward in the spirit of Pentecost, but not just after for Pentecost, but even afterwards as well. Continue to help our nation and build up our nation. Let's give our praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahawashi. This brother Zabayala.
Brother Kazuan.
All right, that's a bit of mighty strong. Shalom. Shalom.